Welcome to another episode of the Wholesale Elite Podcast. I am Isham and I'm joined by my main man, Mr. Tanner Santucci. What up, dude?
Let's get it going, bro.
Let's go. Yo, guys, the Land Goat is in the building. We got him right here, Mr. Elijah Bryant. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. How y'all doing?
Doing good, man.
Doing excellent. For those of you who maybe have been living under a rock for a little bit and haven't seen this guy on social or anywhere, Elijah Bryant is the truth. He's the real deal. He's been at this for a while, and I cannot wait to dive into his story because I've seen him. I've been following him for, I don't know, almost a year now. So we finally got him on the podcast, and we're not going to talk too much about Land. I'm more so I'm curious about his mindset and his insight into why he, made the transition into real estate and then how Land came about and all this and that. But we'll dive right in. So Elijah, man, so you're all the way in Tampa, Florida, correct?
Yep, I'm in Tampa, Florida. It's beautiful out here.
Man.
Jealous, man.
No kidding. I think Tanner and I both are jealous. I'm in Alaska and Tanner's in Oklahoma, so you definitely beat us on the weather.
Yeah, it's hot, it's sunny, palm trees.
Yes,
even
sir.
Winter time. I love Tampa.
Man, So you're originally from New York, right? The New York City.
Yep, Staten Island, New York.
Dude, take us back. Take us back to what life was like for you growing up in Staten Island.
Growing up in Staten Island, just like any urban city, a lot of people, a lot going on, especially in New York. It's like everybody is together. So one thing about New York, I feel like you learn how to move because of that. You have so many different personalities. Growing up, I lived in a building my whole life. So I always had somebody on top of me, below me, and to the sides of me. So you have all these different personalities in this one building, 20 plus floors. So it was definitely a gift and a curse, I would say. I learned how to move based off of that. And yeah.
What was so what's family life like? Are you only child or big family or?
Yeah, so I'm the only child. I had my mom and dad. They, kind of broke up when I was around 7 years old, but they lived 10-minute walk from each other. So, whenever I get in trouble with my mom, just walk over to my dad's house. So definitely it was still a blessing. And yeah, they're both in my life, have a big family, supportive family. So that definitely makes everything a lot easier.
That's phenomenal. I can relate a lot to that. My parents divorced and remarried 3 times before they figured it just wasn't going to happen. And the final time I was, I don't know, 9 or 10 or something like that. But yeah, my dad did the same thing. He always stuck close by. And so even though they didn't live together, they were both still in the picture. And I'm extremely grateful for that, as I'm sure you are as well. So good. So, okay. So you're clearly an entrepreneur. Where did this come from? Were your parents business owners, or did they raise you to be like that?
Yeah, my dad actually owned his own business, BB Express, growing up. I used to always see his truck. What he would do was deliveries for, high-end clients. So I would see his truck growing up, see BB Express. He had it like big printed on his truck. So I guess growing up, that subconsciously made me want to be an entrepreneur as well, growing up.
Absolutely. Did you go, like, after high school, did you go straight into entrepreneurship, or did you do college, or what was that route like?
So after high school, I went to college for business and marketing. I wasn't the best student per se, but always had a great work ethic. It took me 6 years to get a 4-year degree, but
Nice.
I would say, within those 6 years, I learned a lot. Even though I wasn't the best student, I did get, extra years of schooling, and it allowed me to mature. So
absolutely. Yeah. That's an incredible perspective that you have on that. Most people will kick themselves for not, or they'll almost be ashamed when they mentioned it. But, for you, it's a badge of honor, because it's like, no, like, I didn't rush through it. I wasn't the best student, which no entrepreneur is. Most of us are very ADD, and it's hard to just pay attention. We're not the best pupils, but you got it done, and you built I'm sure you built an incredible network over those 6 years. And you've learned what it took to do stuff on your own without having someone, barking down your back. And so
that's another thing with college, right? You kind of separate from your parents. I went to school outside of the city. So I went to school upstate New York. So now like I'm by myself and just trying to figure things out. So I did play basketball at college. I was very good. I loved basketball. That was my passion. I always had a strong work ethic in the gym, before class, after class, after practice, I would stay around, shoot. And that actually gave me the opportunity to play in El Salvador, basically low-level professional basketball.
Dang, that's pretty awesome. I'm starting to see a common thread amongst people that we interview, and that a lot of them have sports backgrounds. So I'm curious, do you, well, let me ask this first. You said you've got a great work ethic, and you first one showing up to practice, last one to leave and whatnot. Was it always that way? Or did your dad ever sit down with you one time when you were slacking off and have a conversation? Or was that just an innate thing for you?
I think so. With basketball, I'm 5'11". I grew up actually playing soccer. So to get that edge over people, I had to work twice as hard as everybody else.
Right.
So once I noticed that, once I put in the work and I'm getting this separation from people, with my skills, getting the accolades, I know once I put in the work, and if I put in more work than everybody else, I'm going to be better than everybody else. So I feel like that just translated over into real estate.
Tanner, I'm sure you can relate to a lot of that.
Yeah, no, I played college baseball, and so I was actually going to mention the two things that piggybacking off Isham. One is it seems like athletes, it's a common trend among entrepreneurs. A lot of athletes end up at some point in their life being an entrepreneur, and I think that has a lot to do with the discipline that you're taught in athletics and the work ethic, right? Because not everyone is born a LeBron James or a Patrick Mahomes with just a God-given gift. A lot of people have to work for it, and I was one of those people. I had to work for it. And then the other thing, obviously, makes me laugh every time is the college aspect of it. A lot of entrepreneurs, it's funny, it seems like they take longer in college to get through college. I don't know why that is. Well, I do know. I think I know why that is. And like for me, it took me longer than 4 years too. Right. And so my perspective on it is, and the trend that I see is a lot of entrepreneurs that go through college and it takes them a long time because they don't really believe in what they want to do. You haven't found that passion. So you're kind of just going through the motion and going to school, and just because people tell you to, but you really don't believe in it. You're not hungry to graduate, because when you graduate, it's like, oh shit, now I got to go find a W-2. Right. Entrepreneurs don't want that. And so I just thought it was ironic that you also mentioned not only you're an athlete and it took you 6 years instead of 4, because it took me longer than 4 too. So
well, let me ask you, Elijah, when you were in college and it took you that extra time, did you have a goal? Were you like, all right, I'm going to push through this? Or was it just like, I just got to graduate?
Yeah. So my first year, I did like really bad in the sense that, just my first time away from home.
Sure. Like
the freedom, my mom, dad, they were very disciplined growing up. Even though I had a lot of friends, I wasn't as free as them. They wouldn't just let me go outside for hours. I'm the only child too, so my mom still calls me up every day to check on me. So
shout out mom.
Shout out mom. Right. Yep. So with that, I think the discipline from that, it just everything, like you said, Tanner, the discipline, it translates. You grow up knowing that if I put in this, I'm going to get this in return. So,
well, let me just kind of clear the air for anyone who's listening or watching and they're thinking, man, that's not me. I don't have this crazy work ethic. I wasn't in sports. I'm not that competitive, all that stuff. Let me just clear the air by saying I don't relate to either one of these two guys that that you're hearing from right now. I am that guy that did not have a good work ethic. I had like 20 something jobs, but by the time that I really settled into what I wanted to do, I never finished college. I took like 1 or 2 semesters. Sports, I sucked at. I was never really competitive. I was the guy who didn't want to lose more so than wanted to win. I was that kind of competitive. I just didn't want to lose. So I don't relate to you guys on that aspect, but what I do find fascinating is when I did find something that I really wanted to do, I was like a dog on a bone. Like you couldn't shake my focus, my energy, my effort, my hustle, my work ethic, none of that. And that was real estate, essentially. Before that, there were some things that I tried, but man, this is the first thing that I've done where I just don't want to stop, and I've been doing this for a little while now. So I just want to throw that out there to anyone who can't really relate. I don't want you guys to think that that's definitely the path. But it's good to hear these stories because it really gives us an idea of who you are and what, what you're all about. And so let's transition, man. So how did real estate come about?
Yeah. So when I was in El Salvador, it was a third world country, not the best living conditions, kind of lost the passion for the game. And I knew I had to figure out, how to make money. I'm not going to live in my mom's basement for the next 20 years of my life. Right. And I knew I didn't want a regular job. So that's when, YouTubing, Googling how to become a millionaire. How can I make, 20,000 within the next 30, 60 days? And that's when I came across wholesaling.
Interesting.
Then from there, just, YouTube University. I came across actually a Breakfast Club interview of this guy named Mark Whitten, and he was speaking about how, wholesaling, you could make 10 to 20,000 without actually spending any money on buying the house. And that's when I got wholesaling. So once I got back to the States, I was door dashing, and while door dashing, I'm listening to the Wholesaling Inc. podcast. I'm listening to different podcasts. And then that's when I came across this dude named Dan Green. And he was being interviewed by Brent Daniels. And he was mentioning how he moved from Jacksonville, Florida to Tampa, Florida, living on his friend's couch. And he made $300,000 in 1 year wholesaling real estate. And that just that blew my mind. We were the same age at the time, 25. I'm watching this actually with my mom at the time, and she's like, hit him up. My ego was like, no, we the same age. I barely got $50 in my pocket. Like, you're not even gonna reach back out to me. But, I put my ego pride to the side, and I contacted him. And, I asked him, listen, I'll work for you for free. Just if you could teach me the game, if I could learn from you. And he said, come down for an interview. And told my mom, in New York, you don't really need a car. So my mom gave me her car, and wow. I was on my way to Florida.
Man. So when you came down for the interview, were you planning on living in Tampa, or were you just coming down to kind of see what this guy was all about and then drive right back?
Yeah, so I do have my grandmother. She lives about an hour and a half outside of Tampa. So knowing that, it made it 10 times easier because now I could just live with my grandmother, pay some bills and be next to people that's doing real estate. So once I actually got down here, I didn't, meet up with Dan right away. I had bandit signs that I was going to put in Staten Island. So I just took those bandit signs and I started putting them out in Florida, in Tampa. As soon as I got down, I put the bandit signs out and, eventually met up with Dan and I worked for him for a little bit.
So was Dan, when you came down for the interview, was he doing land or was he doing property?
No, he was actually doing houses. So Yeah, when I was in the office with him, when I actually started working with him, all I knew about was driving for dollars.
Right.
I didn't know about creating lists and cold calling and, speaking to the sellers like that. So when he actually gave me the opportunity and I was on the phones, I was terrible. I had no cold calling experience. So what I used to do was I used to like record him because he was really, really good on the phone. I used to record him. And then after work, I'll DoorDash for like 3 or 4 hours. Then I would go back home and then practice what he was saying to sellers in the mirror, just mimicking him. So, and I noticed like each day I would get a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better, to the point where it was like, you know what? I think I'm comfortable doing it myself. And then that's when I started trying it myself.
Man,
Wow.
that's so powerful. But when you were mimicking him, did you ever find yourself saying, how do I incorporate my own personality into this conversation? Or did you just get really good at understanding kind of how he was thinking and why he was saying what he was saying? Like what was it that you really kind of gleaned from listening to his conversations?
I think more so tonality. And then also what I noticed was every call is fairly similar. It's not that big of a difference, right? You need the motivation, condition, timeline. So it was fairly simple. And that's where, I started just practicing. And I feel like I developed certain situations that he was going through. And I knew exactly what to say now because I was watching him over and over again.
Right.
So when I started doing it myself, that's when I started getting deals. I closed 12 house deals within that 8 months before I actually got into doing land.
Well, let me ask you this, and this is kind of backtracking just a hair. When you came down for the interview, knowing you were going to potentially move in with your grandma, were you? I guess the first question is real quick. Did you already plan, and I may have missed this, did you already plan it moving in with your grandma? Is that already set in stone, or were you just like, that's an option?
Yeah, so when he called me, when he said come down, that was the first person I called my grandmother. I let her know, my dreams, my goals, what I was looking to achieve. She said, come down. Let's do it.
Because the reason I ask, and it leads into this question, is I'm a believer in not having a plan B. And so what I interpreted, however the hell you say it, I can't speak right now, but how I took that is essentially you weren't going to use your business and marketing degree in Tampa. You came down to Tampa with one goal and you were going to make it happen regardless. And like I said, I'm a big believer in no plan B, because I think if you give yourself a plan B, you're giving yourself already an excuse to quit before you even start. And so I want everyone that's listening to, again, use what Elijah is saying. And if there's any doubt in your mind, in my opinion, don't do it, because you're already failed. So listen to what Elijah said again, and go take the action. Don't have a plan B, and take risks. And Elijah's a living proof of that, because it sounds like it obviously worked out.
Yeah, my whole mentality was kind of like a get rich or die trying.
Yes, sir.
even before that, right? And I don't really mention this, but when I drove down to Florida, I had to park my car in Virginia, the Amtrak. I took the train down. So I drove from New York to Virginia, took the Amtrak, right? When you take the Amtrak and you put your car is in the back. So I'm coming to Florida, I had a tank top, shorts, some slides, I'm thinking Florida's hot. When I tell you this train ride was 13 hours, this was the coldest train ride in the world. I'm literally in this train shivering, right? I'm asking the ladies, can you turn down the AC? There wasn't that many people there. So it was like I said, 13-hour ride, and I'm basically about to freeze to death. And I'm like, if I can make it past this, once I land in Tampa, I'm going to make this happen. And Another thing that I learned from that was I'm never going to be scared to speak to somebody again, because I feel like what I could have done to eliminate that whole 13 hours of pain was all I had to do ask everybody that was on that train ride, can I borrow a blanket? I'm freezing. Can I borrow a sweater or something? Because I was really felt like it was over. So I knew once I actually touched down into Florida that I'm going to make this happen, because I just went through all the pain that I had to go through.
Man.
Let me ask this one thing real quick, because I guess let's jump right into it. So I know you said you did 12 houses in your first 8 months wholesaling.
Yeah.
So what it sounds like you had success doing that. So why transition to land?
Yeah, so even when I was doing houses, right, I was getting deals consistently. What I noticed, right, especially in entrepreneurship, is always going to be pivots. So when I first started out, was driving for dollars, drove the whole Tampa, St. Petersburg, Lakeland, all the surrounding areas, right? Then I knew about lists, started calling lists, started getting success from both. Then I noticed that it's starting to get a little bit difficult. So now I have to go virtual. So I started calling deals in Indiana, closed, about 5 to 6 deals in Indiana, closed deals in Iowa. So I knew this, that I always was going to have to make a pivot. Then I noticed, houses started getting real tough. I didn't have a deal the next month. So that's when I knew I had to pivot, do something different. I did have a couple people out here that was doing land. They was getting deal after deal after deal. And I'm doing good at houses. I'm getting deals that was 20,000, 15. So I ain't jumped right in. But once I knew that little, that hold where I don't have a house deal the next month, that's when I was like, you know what, I'm going to just try land. And literally soon I jumped in, it felt like the gates was open. Got the first deal, made 6,000, and then it was just back to back to back after that.
Damn, I love it.
Yeah.
What about land other than let me ask you, when did this happen? Was this before the big peak of the market last year?
So for 2020, I did all houses. Right, the pandemic, that's actually March of 2020 is when I closed my first house deal. So from March to December, I was doing houses. January came around for 2021, I didn't have a deal.
I see.
So now I'm like, okay, what am I gonna do? And that's when, around that time, that's when I started searching for houses. I actually used to pull code violations lists from the county, Polk County. With that, you would get commercial, you would get houses, you would get land in that pipeline. So my friends that were doing land here, I had a land deal. I just offered low. The guy accepted. I didn't know it was a deal. I brought it to them. I was like, yo, do you guys think this is a deal? They was like, no, this is a deal. Do you want a JV? I was like, you know what? I'm going to, search myself and look for a builder. Being around them, I kind of already knew the process, right? I was ear hustling. I was listening to them when they were speaking. So I kind of already knew how to find the builder from being around them. Called the builders up on Google, and the builder literally said, yeah, we want it. Made 6,000 in 20 days. And then from there, I just became addicted. He gave me his whole criteria in Florida of exactly his price points, how many lots he's looking for in this quarter, and the zip codes. And once I got that information, all I had to do was the marketing. When I tell you I couldn't go to sleep, I didn't want to sleep. It was literally back to back to back.
Absolutely.
Every 8 to 10 offers, I was getting something under contract. So
that sounds about right. Man. Okay, so were you still with Dan Green at this time?
No, so I worked for Dan for about probably the longest a month before I started doing it myself. So yeah.
I see. Wait, did you separate just because you saw that you could do this on your own and the spreads were just better doing it that way?
Nah, he kindly fired me.
I
Right?
see.
I wasn't, like I said, I wasn't the best on the phone. Even though I was getting better each day, it wasn't enough to where it was like, I'm gonna keep you around. But
Yeah.
what he did was he continued to like mentor me, right? Any questions that I have, and then we used to hang out all the time, right? I didn't have that many friends here, so we used to hang out all the time, and there was no love lost.
That's incredible. Are you guys still in touch?
Yeah, we're close.
That's what's up. I don't think I've ever been friends with anyone after they fired me. Testament to you. Well, man, I know I'm going to let Tanner loose here in a second because I know he's got a lot of stuff he's probably going to want to ask you about land. But let me just ask you, like, what's been the most impactful part of your land journey so far?
Impactful. I would say, I guess from closing deals, I think when you're doing it, it don't feel like you're doing something miraculous, right? Until I hear from the outside, and even being on these podcasts, getting invited, it didn't feel like I was doing something out of the ordinary because I'm doing it every day. So I think more so with the land and getting the recognition from my hard work, and now networking with a whole bunch of different people from different regions of this United States, getting invited to go to Dallas, getting invited to go to Arizona. Like, I think that's what land did for me.
That's powerful.
So what's your other than land obviously being a way to make a quick buck with, knowing the builders and stuff, do you have an end goal for land? Like, do you have a goal of being a developer? Do you want to do fix and flip? Like, what's the benefit of you focusing specifically on land? Do you have one?
Not necessarily. I mean, I do want to start building. I own multiple parcels in Florida. So I do want to start building. I don't think it's the best time to build right now. That's why I haven't started yet. But I do want to become a developer. And then what I noticed now that, not to bring it off topic, but with having my academy and helping others close deals, that's one of the, like, to me, I feel like that may be my purpose. I get more satisfaction now in helping others close deals than actually closing my own deals. So I think in the long term, I really like when Jazz, one of my members of the academy, she did a consultation call with me, right? At that time, I was charging $300 for 30 minutes because I knew like the game was open. So I knew whoever was going to sign up, do the consultation call, and if they applied it, was going to get a deal, right? She started, got a deal the next day, $9,500 profit that she got under contract. Couple days after that, same week, she got 2 more deals. In 30 days, she made $25,000, right? That itself was like, damn, this is really happening. But later on that year, within 6 months, she calls me up. I'm going into my office, got a glazed donut, iced coffee, walking into my office, I get a call. And it's Jazz. She's like, Eli, I gotta tell you something. She sounded like she was crying, right? I'm like, Jazz, you good? She's like, yo, bro, like, I just quit my job and I passed the 6-figure mark in assignment.
Let's go.
Changed my life. Like, when I tell you, I just broke down crying right there. It was literally the best feeling I ever felt in my life. So when you say long term, I really get great satisfaction in helping somebody else change their life.
Dude,
I love that.
I think Tanner and I's faces both lit up when you were telling that story because we literally just experienced that with one of our team members. So we made the pivot to land a few months ago, and we have a small team of 4. And one of our guys who was with us from the very beginning, he was actually, we used to JV on stuff when we were in the housing world. He he just, matter of fact, yesterday, he closed 3 deals in the last couple of weeks, like over $30,000 worth of assignments on those 3 deals. And before that, Tanner literally had to let him borrow a couple $100 so that he could open up a bank account. Yeah, so he could pay off a credit card to open up a bank account. Wow. And now, he's got, there's commas in his bank account. Right. And I mean, just the joy on his face and just knowing that we played a part in that was massive. And it was so addicting. And my next thought to Tanner was, all right, we got to get Drew a deal. We got to get this. Like, we got to get more deals for our team. That feels amazing. Like, we're making less than they're making, but who cares? Like, this is amazing. So that's very commendable, man. And I think that's a pretty impactful part of your journey. So thank you for sharing that, man. Let me ask you, because you're pretty seasoned now at this level. How do you deal with disappointment in business?
Disappointment happens. I don't have, every month is not, 50, 60,000, right? Especially with this game, it goes up and down. You have trends. So when that comes, I like to, I like to travel. I like to get away. I like to step from the actual business. I like, having team meetings where we have dinners or we go to like the day party and just back away from the actual business and know that we're doing this, to be happy, to have fun, to like that. So when it comes to disappointment, I like doing fun things that will get my mind distracted from, the stress that we go through daily.
I see. Yeah, it sounds like you just keep things in proper perspective, and you know that you can't have joy without pain.
Exactly. They come together. So.
Absolutely. What's one of the last things you did that was out of your comfort zone?
Out of my comfort zone. Damn, that's a good question. I would say, to be honest, I think going on that TTP podcast was like really out of my comfort zone, because Brent Daniels, he hit me up, right? I get a random text message. I'm on driving home. I get a random text message from, I guess Brent Daniels saying, hey, this is Brent Daniels. I heard your story. I want you on my podcast. Wow. At first I'm like, dang, I don't feel like I'm ready to be on your podcast. I didn't see that in myself yet. So I think me actually going out there and taking that leap and then seeing the success, and not only the success from it, but connecting with people out there while I was in Arizona, while I was in Brent Daniels' office and studio, his mentor was there, right? So as me and Brent is having just a casual conversation, his mentor comes in, Brent introduces me, and he's like, I know you. Like,
wow.
That's awesome.
You a star. And this is coming from somebody that Brent looks up to. I'm looking up to Brent, like Brent the Godfather. So right. From somebody else, it was like, I'm glad I actually took that leap and did that, because not only am I getting great success from it, it just let me know that, we only block ourselves within our mind. Once we, conquer that fear that's blocking us, sky's the limit. All the opportunities in the world. So
what do you think separates yourself from everyone else?
I think, I don't know, because I don't think I'm super special. I feel like I'm an everyday average person that just works hard, reads books, drinks water. Like, I guess, when times get hard, I just go harder. Like, I don't give up. So I guess that, like, I don't plan on giving up ever.
You said you read books. What's a book that you've referred to others more than any other?
The Game of Life and How to Play It.
Who's the author?
Florence Chevelle. I think that's how you pronounce her name. And the reason why I would say that book is, one, you know, I haven't read the Bible, but what she does is she takes scriptures from the Bible and she breaks them down to like where a, somebody that's 13 years old will understand. And it's a quick read. You could literally read it within a week. And I literally feel like she basically breaks down this life and how to play it. So it's just like how the book says it, the game of life and how to play it.
That's incredible. Well, thank you for that. I'll definitely check into that. I like you. I've never read the Bible, but I think I've read enough books that take excerpts from the Bible where I could probably patch it all together. There's a book that I have here, Doing Business by the Good Book. And that was the first one I ever read that was, secular in any degree. And it was fascinating to hear, like, I didn't know Proverbs. I knew nothing about I knew the chapters and whatnot, but I hear about Proverbs and I'm thinking, I kind of want to read the book of Proverbs now. Like, it just seemed like it was like all business talk. Like, this is right up my alley. But
I will also say Think and Grow Rich too. I know most people promote this, but Think and Grow Rich really changed my mindset. It literally gives you the blueprint to me on like how your mindset, you could change your mindset. So for example, when I first started, right, I read in the book, if you want to achieve something, you got to write it down. You got to be specific, give yourself a date, an amount, and then tell yourself why you want this, what you're going to do, and when you're going to get it.
Yes.
And I did that exact same thing, I believe 2021. Right. Remember, January, I didn't have a deal.
Right.
I'm writing this down where it's like, oh, is this really going to happen? Because once the new year starts, you start at zero.
Yep.
So I'm writing these goals. January, I didn't get a deal. I'm like, is this year going to look rough? But by the end of this year, that next month, closed my first land deal. And I made, a lot more than what I put on that paper. And what I wrote in that paper, I was scared. I'm like, dang, I didn't make, over. I mean, when I was doing houses, I just got to 6 figures, right? But when I was writing those goals down, it was basically 165,000. I didn't really feel like I could do it. I knew I could, but it was still that doubt. It felt scary, but I made a lot more than that, So I feel like that's one thing from that book that really took me to the next level.
Man, shout out Napoleon Hill for writing that book.
Facts.
Like, what an incredible, like, I keep mine, right here. And they say, show me a man who's, what is it? Show me a man whose books are torn apart or something like that. And I'll show you a man whose life isn't, man or woman. And
that's a good quote. I like that.
Yeah. I'll get it to you once I find the clean version of it, but I need to get some more weathering on my Think and Grow Rich because it's not as beat up as it needs to be. I like asking kind of morning routine stuff just out of curiosity. Are you a morning routine kind of guy?
Not no more. I used to, but I noticed and I read this or I heard it and it kind of stuck with me. Like, everybody's different, right? So some people may have a morning routine. Some people like doing work at night. Some people like doing work in the afternoon. So I feel like as long as I'm disciplined and I check off everything I need to get done during the day, then I won the day. So that's kind of how I have it. I write down everything. Like, I have a whiteboard in my apartment and I have like everything. I feel like if I get this done today, I won this day.
Right.
So as long as I get everything done, if I could check off everything, I won the day. And, you do that 365 days, you're a whole different person at the end of that.
That's powerful, man. Yes, that's good. And I think, one of the key takeaways there is just self-awareness. There's tons of gurus out there who will tell you their method, and it's not that their method's wrong or anything, but if you're trying that and you're, I don't want to say you're not getting success, but you're just not feeling like that's you. If you hear these people are waking up at 4 a.m. and crushing it, but you get your energy and your your creative juices flowing in the evenings. Don't try and be like them because you think that's the path. Everyone carves out their own way. Currently in the Astro community, there's a big social media challenge that's going right now, right? There's a big push to get louder on social, and I completely understand why, and I think it's necessary at some point in your business to definitely get loud. But there was a lady who commented in the groups who said, I'm an introvert. And, just that kind of stuff doesn't work for me. So does this mean that I'm not going to be successful? And, a lot of people were chiming in, no one was hating on her by any means. It's an incredible community. But a lot of people were saying, hey, look, you're not an introvert. You're actually, it's just fear that's creeping in and whatnot. And, there was some truth to that, I'm sure. But I sent her a message just saying, hey, look, you don't have to be the loudest to win in business. And so Jamil has a partner, Josiah. They're both co-founders of Keekly, and Josiah, does a ton of other stuff. Josiah is very wealthy. He's very well. He's not hating on his bank account when he looks at it. And you don't see Josiah's posts. He's not getting loud. He seems like an introverted kind of guy. And so I told her, I think the more important thing is just to be self-aware and then work your ass off. That's it. Don't try
feel
to be
that
like
same way. With building my brand. I got on the call at Blue Notes. I'm not sure if you guys know who that is. Blue Notes Brandon. He wholesales in Orlando. Got on the call with him about last year or 2 years ago, and he was talking to me about branding and how important that is, right? I'm naturally, right, to me, introvert. I like being in the back of the room, behind the scenes and everything like that. But I noticed that once I get myself out there, my message, that, that 100 or 165,000 could double when you have an actual brand. So I feel like once I just consistently started posting, not really caring if people like it or not, that's when everything takes off. So it goes really, to me, comes down to really consistency. If you're posting every day, regardless if it's great or not, if you're posting every day, eventually you're going to have great content back to back to back. And then that's when it takes off. So,
man, I got to give you your props, bro, because your reels are one of my favorite. And I'm not even saying that blowing, like they really are, because they're so creative. I remember there was one where I don't know where you were. You were surrounded by concrete. You just have to check out his reels. They're hilarious because you could tell there's thought that goes into it. It's not like they're all just in your house and you grab your phone. You'll be at different locations, and they're funny. They're educational. They're inspirational. I really, really, really dig your content.
Yeah, I know which one you're talking about, like the Gospels one.
Yes, that's what it was.
Yeah, so I like listening to Kurt Franklin and gospel on Sundays. So I was thought about it. I'm like, you know what? I got a couple suits. Let me just go down to the Coliseum. It's not that far from my house, and just make content there and see how it goes. And yeah, people love that. People love that.
Yeah, man, your content's really good. Obviously you've got a great thing going in your business. What's a couple things that you're excited about this year?
Ooh, that's a good one. So, besides, seeing others do really well, because I'm getting a lot of people that's buying into my program. I got 6 deals right now with JVs with people from the program. Trying to ramp that up to 10, 15. But besides that, I would say getting on different podcasts, networking, going to Dallas, that felt just like how I felt when I went to TTP, shaking a hand, making a new connection, and hopefully events. I want to start doing events because I really don't like public speaking, but that's that fear you have to get over. You never know where that opportunity could take you and how much more people I can inspire. And yeah, so I would say that doing the event soon.
That's awesome, man. I can't wait to see your event. we will definitely, Tanner and I will definitely do everything in our power to get our entire team there. Because we're in Florida, we do land there. I'd love to meet you, man. I'd love to just sit down and chop it up with you, outside of the cameras and recording devices. So I'm gonna ask you just one last question, and I'll let Tanner, prepare anything that he's got. But for anyone who is in the wholesaling world, and maybe they're considering, doing land, maybe they're not, maybe they heard that land is easy, or, they're hearing these stories that, man, people are killing it in land. What's your feedback for those people?
I would say nothing's really easy. It may be simple, but it's not easy. You have to put in the work. Without the work, there's no result. And I would say definitely tap in with me, because what I noticed from land, besides it being less saturated, there's a lot of opportunities. The conversation is straight to the point. Right. That's one thing I love about land. I don't have to ask about the condition. Really, I don't even have to ask about motivation. Right. It's more so finding the gold. So there's so many opportunities out here. Like, I showed my students and my members of the academy, if you look on Zillow, you put sold lots last 30 days, you remove the boundaries, you'll see across the whole United States, there's lots selling throughout this US. I literally closed the deal in California using that same strategy. Looking at where lots were selling, I seen a good amount of lots selling in this market in that area, and I made some good money in that market. So it's so much opportunities in this game, and this is why I need as much people to tap in. Right. Because the more people that tap in get good success, I get that feeling again over and over. And that's how you become a world changer. So Amen. Trying to change people's lives.
Incredible. I can probably speak for Isham on this, where, man, your story is incredible. Not only of how you got into real estate, but just the persistence and, the risk you took. I think that goes a long way to show why you're successful, because not everyone's willing to do the things you've done. So that's just a testament to you. But I guess more or less a question is, to kind of wrap this thing up, is what's the piggyback on the last question, what's maybe if a wholesaler came to you and said, hey, I want to get into land, and I know there could be a whole nother episode on just this question I'm probably about to ask you, but what quick steps would you tell them, to get started? Like, in one market, here's my market, are you telling them to go look, for active listings? Are you going to tell them just to go pull an off-market list? Like, what are maybe 2 to 3, maybe 4 steps real quick to get the first deal, to sell the first deal?
Yeah. So with how I, teach it and what I do, I tell people with this business, it's a 3-part system. There's a market, there's a builder, and there's a landowner. So using that same Zillow method that I just mentioned, I'll look on Zillow, see where a good pocket of land is selling. Now I found the market. So now with the builders, you can find the builders on Google. Let's say you don't have no money at all. You just have a phone bill. Contact the builders on Google. Type in spec home builders in the specific area that you're focusing on, that you found on Zillow. And I want you to contact each one of those builders, go to their contact page and ask them, how many lots they're looking to buy, what zip codes, what prices. Now you have the market and the builder. You have the information you need. Now you need the vacant land owner. Let's say you have no money again, just got your phone and laptop. I want you guys to go to Facebook Marketplace. You go to Facebook Marketplace, you put that same zip code in Facebook Marketplace, and you're going to see there's going to be a couple people that's looking to sell their lot. Not everybody uses realtors. Some people like, doing it direct. So this is what I did last year. I besides me pulling lists, I made $30,000 without spending a dime, just using Facebook Marketplace and Google. So now you find that seller on Facebook Marketplace, you offer him lower than the builder's price, and then you get all the contracts, put it together, send it to the title company, and in 30 days you can make $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 free
So
like that.
I think this is gold. Again, I know we could have a whole nother episode, so I'm not gonna deep dive into this at all. I mean, tell myself I'm not. But I like kind of how you phrase that, because essentially how our company underwrites land is really in depth. I mean, we break down utilities and all kinds of stuff, right? Zoning and I'm sure you know all that stuff as well, obviously. So I like how you said, for a quick tip, essentially, is just go find the builder first, find what they would buy that at, and then just go get less than that. So are you telling your students and the people that you mentor yourself, are you not telling them when you underwrite that, hey, look for this, that, calculate, if it needs a septic tank or whatever? You're simply just telling them, go look for the builder, go get a price, then go get less than that.
My first builder, he literally paid me over $300,000 using that same strategy. Wow. He literally, just a couple of days ago, I posted in my academy, he gave me 10 markets. He's looking for 10 lots this market, 5 lots this market, 8 lots this market. He gave me the price points and the zip codes. All I have to do is follow what he gives me. They're buying these lots, they're building houses, they're either going to sell it or rent it out. So they literally give you all the information you need. Now, not all builders lay it out like that, but when you build a connection with them, once they see your track record, that's when they give you all the information you need. And all I have to do is make offers. I have to send out the text, send out the cold call, and send out the mail. And as long as I'm doing that marketed funnel, I'm guaranteed gonna get a deal, or 2, or 3, or 10.
I love that. I love that. So, how you've mentioned you coach or you teach some students, and you've got a program essentially. Can you tell us maybe just real quick about that, and maybe how, if someone was interested in that and learning from you specifically, how they could reach out to you and find out more about it?
Yeah, so I do have a course. It's called Land Your First Deal, because I'm trying to get people to land their first deal.
I love it.
And it's literally videos of me breaking down step by step by step of what I'm doing and what I teach the members of the academy to do, from finding sellers, builders, and then not just that, right? I'm literally on the phone with realtors, because I'm also updating it as I'm learning and growing. I'm contacting realtors. I got a deal in New Mexico, never even been there. Listed it with a realtor, and I'm about to make $12,000 on that deal. So contacting realtors, letting them know that you'll pay them a flat fee of $1,000 or $1,500 if you list a lot. And so I break that all down in the course. Now, I have the academy where it's a private Discord for $50 a month. And with this is 4 Zoom calls a month. So once a week, where we literally answer any questions that people may have. And we put our builders' criteria, prices in that Discord. So you don't have to find the market in the building. Wow. All awesome. You have to do is pick up the phone and start dialing. So that's how I have 6 deals right now going on with members of the academy, because I send them the market and the builder. And literally one dude, he came in, he has 600, right? He bought my program, which is 500, got into the academy. He started making calls, and within a week, he found a deal. I had the builder, and we're about to make $13,000 on that deal. So let's go. It's a very quick turnaround. With this game, we're finding gold. So I feel like speed is important. So if you're watching this, tap in as soon as possible, because spring and summer is coming. And that's where a lot of opportunity is across the nation, not just Florida. I closed deals in Florida, North Carolina, Colorado, Arizona, California, maybe New Mexico if this one closes and makes it to the finish line. Like, it's opportunities out there. So speed and get to it.
Love it.
Man, that's incredible. So one thing I will say, and this is mostly for the listeners and viewers, is Elijah is a tough get. He's busy. He's got a lot of stuff going on. He's got his business, and he's got his academy, and everything else that's going on in his world. So you're not going to shoot him a question on IG and hear back right away. So let me ask you, in your course or in the academy or whatnot, do your students have the ability to ask you questions directly?
Yeah, so that's why I created the academy, and this is why I made it, $50, because usually for these Zoom calls, like I told you with Jazz, I charge to $300 for 30 minutes. I try to make it $50 so a good amount of people could join, and then they all have access to me, and not just me. It's me, Jazz, a couple other people that I taught within the last 2 years that made over 80 or 90,000. We're all breaking it down. So
right.
With the academy, it's not like everything is even coming to me. We all split this because it's a group effort. So it's about 5 of us that we get on Zoom each week, Wednesday or Friday, and we basically try to hold the people that join the program their hand to get their first deal. And not only that, kind of motivate too, because I put the builders' criteria, the price points and everything in my academy. So it's literally no excuse. All you have to do is send out the messages. So
incredible. Well, I mean, obviously, Elijah, you've been at this for a little while. You're very successful. What are some of the highlights or the crazy experiences that real estate has allowed you to experience?
So, well, with certain deals, like I just got a deal for 7,000, right? This deal, I did not know it was going to close, right? Once I signed with the seller, on PropStream, it just had I guess the husband's name. The wife's name wasn't on it. So once we send it to the title company, we're getting ready to close. The title company mentions that, the ex-wife, their name is on the deed as well. So I'm trying to contact the wife through True People Search. I sent her a letter in the mail. She didn't get back to me. So I'm like, this deal might not go through. I get an email from from the title company, and they said they reached out to the wife and she's on go. And I literally made 7,000 from that deal, and it kind of slipped my mind. I was already on to the next one. So it was just another extra 7,000 that just came in my lap. So another thing with land is it's very quick. It's very quick. So I get a lot of deals from direct mail where I send out Google Street View pictures of their lot. I literally get a lot of people that call me up and say, I worked with you because you actually took the time and went to my lot and took the picture. I was in St. Martin or Columbia. I didn't go to the lot. So it's different strategies if you use that sets you apart. And if you use it consistently, you can make a lot of money while doing it.
There you go. It's one of the key themes to my life. I always say, don't be better, be different. Yep. Different sets yourself apart, and it makes you a lot more memorable. It makes you more remarkable. And so that's incredible, bro. We'll land this plane, but I definitely want to thank you so much, man, for blessing us with your time and really just giving us, so much gold on this episode. This is incredible. So obviously you have the academy and whatnot, but where can people follow you at?
Yeah, so follow me on Instagram at Thy Book of Eli. On Facebook, it's my first and last name, Elijah Bryant. And if you're interested in doing land and using the same strategy that I use, you could text land at 813-687-8867. And I do weekly free classes where I literally break down the game. And yeah, if you want to learn, if you want to make some money, tap in with me.
Any market.
Well, not any market, because I don't really like upstate. I tried New York and everything like that. Is better, I notice, for me at least, is better in the southern regions because of the climate and everything like that. But I think you could get a deal any market, if you send out the marketing. So
absolutely. Well, Elijah, again, thank you so much, man. It's really been a pleasure. And I can't, man, I hope we can have you back on here, 6 months to a year. It's just to, maybe share some stories about some of the stuff we've experienced, on land, and really kind of chop up the land conversation, maybe not go so much mindset, but just really go into some of the dirt around what it is that we do in this beautiful world of land. But brother, thank you so much. Massive respect to you. And we're just humble and grateful. So thank you again. And guys, absolutely. We want to see you. We want you in Elijah's spot right there. So get out there, crush it, make it happen. And we'll see you on the next episode. Peace. What up, Elite fan? That's a wrap for today's episode. But look, if you got value out of the show today, do us a huge favor and give us a review or give us a like or subscribe. Do all the things to help us get the word out there. And look, we want to see you on the next show. So get out there and crush it, make it happen. Stay tuned for the next episode. Peace.